Hello, hello, my name is Mansa and welcome back to another Speedpaint commentary. Today, I will be drawing my OC Blue. It was about a year or two ago, but one of my closest friends had created and gifted me Blue. He originally had no name, and he said he's here to be your comfort buddy. You can draw him when you feel stressed or down or just to help you cheer up. And I really appreciated that, and I was really happy that he gave me him, and I named him Blue because I couldn't think of a name, but then I was like, let me be original. And his name is BLU, just like that, Blue. If you don't know this already, I have over 100 OCs, and you can check them out in my toy house in the description below. I love my OCs more than anything, and they're my babies, even though I do hurt them sometimes. Oops. In my character's universe, they have a thing called prophecies, and prophecies are given to characters as this kind of like lifelong message that they'll have, and you know, that's their calling to find out what their prophecy means and how they're going to go about life and everything. But Blue is very special. He did not receive a prophecy. He never did. And you know what? He's not upset about it at all. So I made a backstory little thing a long time ago, and I'm going to read it for you right here. So let me begin. As Blue was reminiscing on his childhood, he began to say, "I was born into this world, never knowing anyone, not even my own parents, and they're strangers to me, but that's fine. I was told my parents traveled the world and had me here, but they didn't want me. Here, I grew up in a small town known as Ensconce. I grew up in an orphanage, but, you know, it's nothing really that special. I enjoyed my time here, but I always wondered if there was anything more for me out there. The other kids are so mean, but you know what? That's fair, I guess. None of us asked to exist or to live such tragic lives. I'm suffering, and I wish someone would save me, but I've always been alone, and it was so obvious that I wouldn't be saved by anyone unless I stood up myself, and honestly, I wish I did sooner. Born with the power that could heal this world, I could clean dirty lakes, heal withered plants, and heal anything dying or injured. The catch is the power is only active at night when the moon is out, and it physically exhausts me to use this power. Overuse of this power is not good for my system. Word got around town, and everyone started to request me to use my powers for their own needs. My orphanage happily obliged with a small fee. I was used for money and for others. At first I thought I was just helping others, and that's what I was told to believe. After a while, my body became weaker and weaker during the days. I felt like I was going to die. Nobody ever took my feelings into consideration. I was just a tool. People were being greedy and cruel. My health started to deteriorate, and I requested for them to stop this. They should not have relied on my powers. I was punished and guilt-tripped into continuing by the head of the orphanage. They left scars, physical scars, and mental scars, which would never go away. Moonfox. That was the name I was given. However, I fled town. I didn't have a place to go or a plan, but I just had to get out of there. It was not safe for me to stay any longer. My old mask had a moon and a smile. What an act! I cried myself to sleep and I wallowed in my own sorrow for so long. I left in search of a new life and to search for my own purpose. My true identity was the one I gave myself. Blue. That's my true name. I never learned to dream or to smile. All I ever knew was to walk alone. I left my old self behind, and just like that, the Moonfox disappeared. I hope they learn what it really means to value someone. You don't know how much they're worth until they're gone forever. People don't exist for others' uses. We are not something for you to use, abuse, and throw away. We have feelings and we exist for a reason, but we don't always know the reason. We don't always have all the answers, and that's okay. It's what our lives are set out to do. To change, experience, and find that answer. I hope they learn that. You know, I still wonder, did my disappearance make an impact? Or rather, did I make an impact? I'll never know, I suppose. 10 years have passed, so maybe things are different now. No matter where I go, I am still a child of the moon. And just like that, that's the story of the child of the moon. Blue continues his life to go and search for meaning and for purpose. He doesn't really want to go look for his parents because he feels like they're strangers and he has nothing really to gain from looking for his parents. His parents probably don't even want him, and he knows that. I mentioned before that everybody in this world at the age of 7 receives their prophecy from the stars. Stars are people who were past lives who already lived on Paradox and then died and went to Starfall, which is the heaven basically, and they basically, the ancestors of one another, continue on to make prophecies for their next generations, and then they get sent off to the Council of Stars, who deliver the message to the living realm by this Kingdom of Stars. And I will get into the Kingdom of Stars in another video, but basically that's Orion's job, or Erebus, whoever is in charge at that point. Prophecies are very weird. They're very like cryptic and vague messages that you will be using for the rest of your life as a telling, which is basically things like reap what you sow, or one eye for another eye. Sometimes, on a very rare occasion, stars can be very straightforward on the prophecies, such as Leo's prophecy, which was save the world. The problem I encounter with talking about my OCs is that no one understands it but me. That's probably the thing. You know, with 6 planets and 100 plus OCs, you really lose track after a while, but I'm still, you know, world building. It's only been like 7 years, don't worry about it, it's still going. And I'm trying to make comics, but I don't have the motivation. Did you guys like my tired voice? Because I woke up from a nap and was like, oh, I didn't finish recording, let me just... Paradox Paradise is my OC's world and universe name. There are a million places in Paradox, but I just wanted to say that I like to give names to some of the places that will help me identify where in the storyline, where they are. Blue mentioned that he lived in a place called ensconce, and the Google definition of ensconce is establish or settle someone in a comfortable, safe, or a secret place. And ensconce was a secret place that Blue lived in, and his parents were there because they were exploring the secret space, because on the map of Paradox, ensconce does not exist on the map. You must go and look for some kind of like secret book or puzzle or legend somewhere and find a location to it. Ensconce was a very tight and small community, so anything you say could be like spread around really quickly because Ensconce is so small. And all the kids that were there always bullied Blue for not having a prophecy, and Blue doesn't really blame them because he knows how terrible life's been, and he feels that, you know, there's no reason to blame somebody because we're all living in this system, and it is what it is, really. I'm not sure what they are to him, but I guess they were all one big family. But you know, Blue was never angry at them. Blue was kind of upset at the organization and how they handled the whole like being used by other people and getting money and profit off of it. He's still angry, and he has a lot of trauma from how they treated him and, you know, used him, and yikes. In the 10 years that Blue left the orphanage to now, he was really out there trying to adapt to nature and learn how to become a part of society again. He found a town nearby, like a really big city that was on the map, and he kind of just settled there for a while. He met some great people, and he bought his own little rent. I believe in Paradox the rent is 16 years old you can rent, but before that he was living with a little foster family that took him in. The family that took care of Blue was really kind to him, and they understood the boundaries he was setting because they did hear what happened to him back in Ensconce, and he believed that, you know, he just needs some time to adapt to society and learn how to really come into the world. Even with his trust issues and boundaries, he did manage to meet 2 new friends, which are my other 2 comfort OCs, and they're Taz and Tobo. Taz is a weird, furry, unversed looking creature, and he has these little pointy hands, which I think is so adorable. He's got these big ears. Tobo is a panda with golden eyes and a purple bandana. Can animals and anthropos speak in this world? They can. And, you know, if some of them really don't know how to speak, they just kind of do their normal animal sound, like a dog go bark, bark, bark. I get this question a lot, but it's like, how do people have pets in that world and they can all talk? Well, sometimes pets choose to be pets. Some wild animals are tired of being wild and they just decide to go and look for a place to settle, or, you know, look for companionship. Some animals are born into the pet system, you know. People often ask me why the animal-eared hybrid people still have their human ears. The human ears are deaf, and then the animal ears work. I know this bugs a lot of people saying that, but I think it's unnatural for me to look at a human without their ears, even if they have a second set of ears. I just feel weird just looking at something that just had like no ears, like, you know, where your ears are, just nothing there. And I don't know, I find it weird, so I like to put them there. I either draw them or they have hair covering them. In my Spawn the Stars comic, I expressed that The reason why there are so many hybrids is because an evil scientist came over through the parallel rift from Earth to Paradox, and with the intention of creating hybrids by experimenting on humans and animals, and they killed a lot of people and animals trying to experiment. Many died from the experiments or couldn't take it, and a lot of them became hybrids. By the end of the century, there were over 70% of the population were hybrids, and their offsprings were also hybrids. It was a lot of painful DNA mixing and genetically modifying people, and they finally got what they wanted until they were stopped by the second generations of founders. There still are illegal shots that you can find around the black market, and that will help you become half hybrid by mixing your DNA with that one injection, and many people still go for it. Anyways, there is a really big timeline to my OCs which I haven't really organized yet, but not every single character exists at the same time, and not every character's timeline collides. When I had 5 characters, I wanted their entire story to be connected, and I had 20 characters, I still wanted them to be connected. By 40 or 90 characters, I'm like, okay, we're not connecting all these stories. I separated every character in the timeline by generation, era, and event that happened. Anyways, Blue, I'm getting really off track, I'm sorry, I'm just rambling now. A while ago I mentioned that Blue doesn't have a prophecy. Blue really sees that as a good thing, because then he can go and find, his own path in life without, the stars telling him who he is, because he wants to find out who he is for himself. So without the stars telling him who he is, he's really happy with that. No one really knows why some people don't get a prophecy. Maybe it's because the relatives didn't care enough, or something got messed up in the system, or something didn't go through, or they missed one or something, who knows. Though Blue hated the name Moonfox for the longest time, he actually did reclaim it later on, and he owned it. The name Moonfox actually quickly caught on, and everyone saw him as a hero. He went around doing selfless acts with his powers, and he helped those in need, especially during the winter when crops were really hard to grow. He would help and use his powers for good. People knew not to ask too much of him because he was just one person, and they knew that Moonfox's powers were only useful when he has enough rest and energy, and they would always bring him things, and he would always be really appreciative and thankful for everything. He would never take anything for granted, and that was the person he was. With the DNA mixing of the experiments I mentioned a while ago, there is nothing unusual about people having power. Some people have power, some people don't. Blue's parents actually heard about Moonfox and was like, is that our kid? They were like, good for him. We're not going to interact with him because, that's his life and we weren't really a part of it, so there's no use in going to him. Blue was actually invited to a festival in the city that he ran off to after the orphanage, the one nearby Ensconce, and some people from Ensconce actually came over to enjoy the festival. Some of the kids who are now grown up went to the city to go enjoy the festival, but then they started hearing something about a Moonfox, and they were kind of in disbelief because the orphanage they lived in years back told them that the Moonfox, or Blue, died. One of Blue's closest friends was the one to find his moon mask on the floor, and he kept it ever since because he felt like it was his fault that he didn't watch Blue enough. The people who bullied him even felt remorseful, saying that they shouldn't have done that and they should have treated him better. Even if he didn't have a prophecy, he was still a person. This was the festival and celebration of the moon. The goddess of the moon, Neoma, had arrived, and the sun set and Neoma rose the moon manually, and with that, the spotlight was all on the Moonfox. The Moonfox had taken in the moonlight powers and given the festival a warm welcome with all the plants growing and everything looking beautiful. With so much power and moonlight from the goddess, something amazing had happened. Blue had turned into his full fox form. Once Blue was done giving love and life to the planet in this little area of their festival, the festival began. The oldest friend of Blue had tapped on Blue's shoulder, and he turned around and saw them, but didn't recognize them because they had changed so much. They looked at each other mask to mask, and his friend had taken his mask off, and Blue, refusing to take his mask off, said, I don't know who you are. Blue had finally, hesitantly, taken his mask off, and the surprise on their face looked like they had seen a ghost. Now's a good time to mention I don't have a friend character for him. I just say they them until I make them. They hugged Blue, and Blue cried. Blue said, I really didn't want to be found. I knew who you were from the start. How could I forget the closest friend I've ever had? Because Ensconce was a hidden and secret place, everyone wore masks to conceal their identity, and their masks usually matched whatever hybrid they were. The orphanage told us that you were dead, and that you died horribly somehow, and they wouldn't tell us how. I knew it. I felt in my heart that you were still alive. I'm sorry that we made fun of you and laughed at you and everything. We regret it and we feel so bad. I didn't think I would ever get a chance to say goodbye or just look at you. You're here and I don't know. Am I dreaming? Dude, pinch me. Blue looks at him and says, I was never angry at any of you. You guys were my family. Even if you did pick on me, I knew it wasn't your fault. I knew you guys were angry at the system and everything we've been through. So please do not blame yourself. And yeah, I am alive, but I'm not gonna stay here forever. I feel like exploring and moving. I'm not sure. But I'll come back to visit and everything. And I'm really scared to come back to Discon. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Eventually, Blue did end up going back to Escon to go and see what was up. The old staff members that were under, you know, the whole orphanage thing got arrested for treason. Tobo, Taz, and Blue actually lived together in Escon. And, yeah, I guess that was like a happily ever after, and all the people kind of like welcomed him back and, you know, loved him and everything. So, all was good. He did continue his duties as Moon Fox, going from town to town and still helping other people because his heart just couldn't let them go. And that's it for this speed paint. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for listening to me ramble about my OCs. I love them so much. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Goodbye.